Greetings, seekers of wisdom. Today we delve into the world of Stoic philosophy to unveil its secrets of intellectual development. In this video, we'll embark on a journey to understand how to harness the wisdom of the Stoics to reach a new level of thinking. Many believe that wisdom is simply a collection of knowledge, but the Stoics offer a deeper understanding. For them, wisdom isn't just accumulating information, but the ability to discern truth from falsehood, to judge correctly, and to make sound decisions. It's the ability to see the bigger picture without getting bogged down in details and without succumbing to emotional impulses. Let's recall the famous quote by Marcus Aurelius: "Everything that is heard is an opinion, not a fact. Everything that is seen is a perspective, not the truth." This serves as a reminder that we live in a world of illusions, where truth is hidden behind a barrage of opinions, bias, and propaganda. To attain wisdom, we must free ourselves from these illusions and learn to think critically. Part 1. Discard your biases. Imagine yourself standing before a massive bookstore, brimming with books on every topic imaginable. You, a true seeker of knowledge, yearn to glean wisdom from these pages. But here's the catch: not all books are created equal. Some are filled with profound truths, others are empty promises, and some simply aren't right for you. The same goes for the information that surrounds us. We hear countless opinions, read articles, and watch videos. Often, it's hard to know what to trust. How do we separate truth from falsehood? How do we avoid falling into the trap of bias? Think about how often we readily accept information that pleases us, that aligns with our beliefs, or how we believe everything people we trust say. But even those we love can make mistakes, and truth isn't always pleasant. This is bias. It's like wearing tinted glasses through which we view the world. The Stoics warned about this trap. They said, "Don't let your emotions cloud your mind to gain true wisdom. We must free ourselves from bias and learn to think critically." For example, imagine someone telling you all women love flowers. If you're already inclined to agree with this statement, you might not consider that many women don't like flowers at all, and some are even allergic to them. To avoid falling into the trap of bias, we must ask questions. How do you know this? Is there any evidence? What if this isn't true? Could there be another explanation? The Stoics taught us not to fear changing our minds when we find new evidence. Truth might not be what we want it to be. It's important to be open to new ideas, even if they contradict our beliefs. Only by freeing ourselves from bias can we truly embark on the path to true wisdom. Part 2. Managing emotions. Remember the feeling of being on a small boat in a turbulent sea. The waves crash against the sides, rocking you back and forth, making it impossible to calmly gaze at the horizon. This is similar to how emotions cloud our minds. We all experience emotions: joy, sadness, anger, fear, love. But sometimes they overwhelm us, like a raging torrent, drowning out the voice of reason. We react impulsively, say things we don't mean, and take wrong steps. Think about how often we snap at loved ones when we're angry, or jump to conclusions when we're afraid. The Stoics understood this danger. They taught that emotions aren't enemies, but they need to be tamed. Managing emotions means gaining control over your own mind, seeing the world more clearly, and making more rational decisions. How do we do this? It's important to learn to recognize your feelings. For example, imagine you're late for an important meeting. You might feel anger and irritation. But it's crucial to acknowledge these feelings and ask yourself, why am I angry? Is it because I didn't prepare on time? Or because I'm worried about being judged? By recognizing your feelings, you can begin to manage them. If you're overwhelmed by emotions, don't rush to react. Take a deep breath, focus on your breathing, and think before you speak or act. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. Just give yourself time to cool down and look at the situation from a detached perspective. Sometimes, shifting your focus helps. Instead of dwelling on your emotions, try focusing on something positive. The Stoics taught that it's vital to find a balance between feelings and reason. Don't ignore your emotions, but don't let them control you. For instance, if you're offended by a friend's words, don't respond in the same tone immediately. Consider what truly caused your offense. Maybe they didn't intend to hurt you, they just phrased it poorly, or perhaps you're overreacting to their words. Remember, we can't control our emotions 100%, but we can learn to manage them. This isn't an easy path, but it leads to greater clarity of thought and more rational behavior. And one final important point, don't be afraid to seek help. If you can't manage your emotions on your own, turn to a therapist or another professional. Part 3. Cultivate your memory. Imagine strolling through a forest teeming with extraordinary flora. You see vibrant flowers, magnificent trees, and unusual fungi. But to truly appreciate the beauty and uniqueness of this forest, you need to remember it. That's how our memory works. It stores our experiences, knowledge, and thoughts. The Stoics believed that a good memory wasn't simply about remembering names and dates. It was the key to true intellectual growth, to attaining wisdom. Because only when we can store and retrieve valuable knowledge can we truly apply it to our lives. How do we cultivate our memory, making it stronger and more reliable? Firstly, it's important to write things down. Keep a journal, take notes while reading books, jot down important thoughts, quotes, and observations. This isn't just rote memorization. It's a process of reflection, of structuring information, which helps us remember it better. Think back to your school days. When you wrote notes during lessons, you weren't just copying down the teacher's words. You were trying to grasp the main idea and identify key points. This is the key to a good memory, not just memorizing, but understanding and structuring. It's also important to regularly review your notes. Repetition is the mother of learning. When you reread your notes, you bring that information back to life in your memory, reinforce it, and make it more accessible. Another important principle: use associations. Connect new information with what you already know. For example, if you're trying to remember someone's name, try linking it to a vivid image that you're already familiar with. This will make it easier to recall. It's also essential to exercise your memory regularly. Solve crosswords, memorize poems, play games that require memory skills. The more you do this, the better your memory will function. By cultivating our memory, we not only improve our ability to retain information, but we also sharpen our minds and enhance our critical thinking skills. After all, knowledge is power, but only if we can utilize it. Part 4. Develop your critical thinking skills. Imagine entering a dark forest. You need a lantern to navigate the dense undergrowth and avoid getting lost. In a world of information where truth is often shrouded by a fog of opinions, biases, and propaganda, we also need a lantern of critical thinking. The Stoics taught that we shouldn't simply accept everything at face value. We need to learn to analyze information, identify logical fallacies, and reach well-founded conclusions. This is what critical thinking is all about. Remember how often we instantly agree with what we're told. For example, someone might say, "All people are happy in marriage." You might believe this statement without considering that it's just a generalization that doesn't reflect reality. To avoid falling into the trap of false claims, it's crucial to ask questions. How do you know this? Is there any evidence? What if it's not true? Could there be another explanation? Don't be afraid to doubt and analyze information. Verify it from multiple sources. Look for facts, not just opinions. It's also important to consider different perspectives. Don't limit yourself to one view of a situation. Try to see the problem from multiple angles. This will help you gain a more complete picture and make a more informed decision. For example, imagine reading an article about a new diet. It claims that it helps you lose weight in a week. But the article doesn't provide any evidence, just testimonials from unknown people. In this case, you should question the reliability of the information. Maybe it's just advertising for a new diet, not a scientifically proven fact. And one final important point: don't be afraid to change your mind. If you find new evidence that contradicts your previous beliefs, don't cling to your old opinions just because you don't want to admit you were wrong. Truth is more important. Develop your critical thinking skills, and you'll be able to navigate the dark forest of information with the lantern of reason, see the world more clearly, and make more rational decisions. Part 5. Cultivate your concentration power. Imagine a bustling city park. Children are running, birds are singing, cars are honking. How can you focus on the beauty of blooming roses amidst all this noise? This is similar to how we often struggle to focus on what's important in a world full of distractions. We live in an age of information overload. Hundreds of notifications on our phones, a constant stream of news on the internet, endless tasks and responsibilities, all of these distract us from what truly matters. How do we maintain our focus and concentrate on what's truly important? The Stoics believed that concentration was the key to success in all areas of life. Only by focusing on what matters can we solve a challenging problem, have a productive meeting, or simply enjoy a moment fully. How do we learn to concentrate? First, it's important to create the right atmosphere. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Turn off your phone, close browser tabs, and remove anything that might distract you from the important task at hand. Ask yourself, what do I need to fully concentrate on this task? Maybe you need to change the lighting, find a more comfortable chair, or simply take a few deep breaths to calm your mind. Remember, multitasking is a myth. We cannot effectively do several things at once. Focus on one task and finish it before moving on to the next. Another useful tool is meditation. Meditation helps improve concentration and reduce stress. It teaches us to focus on our breath and the present moment so we don't get distracted by thoughts about the past or future. Try dedicating at least a few minutes a day to meditation. Find a quiet place, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Don't judge your thoughts, just observe them. By developing our ability to concentrate, we gain power over our attention. This allows us to work, learn, and live more effectively. Part 6. Keep your curiosity alive. Remember how you used to look at the world with wonder as a child, how you'd ask questions about everything. Why is the sky blue? Where does rain come from? How do trees grow? This is curiosity, the engine of intellectual growth. As children, we think we know everything. But as we grow older, we realize how much more there is to learn. We discover new facts, make new discoveries, and this makes us even more curious about the world. The Stoics taught that we should never stop learning throughout our lives. The world is constantly changing, and to keep up with the times, we need to constantly expand our knowledge, seek new ideas and discoveries. So how can we keep our curiosity alive? Read books. Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone and explore new topics. Try reading a book about a science you've never studied before, or about a culture different from your own. Talk to people who are interested in different things to learn new perspectives and gain new information. Talk to an artist about the beauty of art, to a scientist about the mysteries of the universe, to a traveler about distant lands. And most importantly, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't hesitate to ask about things you don't understand. Remember, the only stupid question is the one that isn't asked. By cultivating our curiosity, we make our minds more vibrant, more flexible, and more open to new things. Part 7. Practice reasonable declination. Imagine yourself in full stride when suddenly an uninvited guest ambushes you. You must react quickly so as not to be thrown off course. Similarly, in life, we often encounter situations where we are asked to do something we don't want to. What do you do? Do you agree out of politeness, or do you try to refuse but feel guilty? The Stoics taught us to not just decline, but to decline reasonably, without guilt or remorse. This doesn't mean being rude or disrespectful. It means respecting yourself and your time. Understand your values. Determine what is important to you and what you don't want to do. For example, if you want to finish a project by the deadline, don't agree to meet with a friend that will take up your precious time. Explain to him that you need to finish an important task and suggest meeting another day. Set boundaries. Let those around you know that you have a limit, and you won't let yourself be used for their purposes. Sometimes people lack tact and don't understand that you're already doing too much for them. In this case, it's important to say no firmly, but politely. Be firm and polite. Decline offers firmly but politely. Explain your decision briefly and clearly. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. Don't let yourself be convinced that you should do something you don't want to. It is your right to refuse. By developing our ability to reasonably decline offers, we learn to respect ourselves and our time. We become more confident and more in control of our lives. You've all seen the road to the mountaintop. It's not always easy, but every step brings us closer to our goal. The path to wisdom is no different. It's not simple, but it's worth every effort. Imagine wisdom not as a specific prize you can receive and put on a shelf, but rather as an ongoing process of self-improvement, a pursuit of truth and deep understanding of the world. It requires self-discipline, continuous self-development, and a willingness to change. Sometimes we'll make mistakes. Sometimes we'll feel challenged or frustrated. But every challenge is an opportunity to learn and grow. On this journey, we get to know ourselves better, develop our abilities, and become happier and freer. We learn to manage our emotions, think critically, focus on what matters, and stand up for our values. It's essential to remember that this journey never ends. The world is constantly changing, and we need to change with it. Be open to new knowledge. Don't be afraid to change your mind. Cultivate your critical thinking skills, and never stop learning. Remember, wisdom is not a destination, it's a journey. It's not something you achieve, it's something you live every day. It's a conscious choice to be the best version of yourself and to make the world around you a little better. The path to wisdom is a constant process of self-development. It's important to remember that it never ends. Be open to new knowledge. Don't be afraid to change your mind, develop your critical thinking skills, and never stop learning. And remember, wisdom is not a goal, it's a journey.